All right, welcome everybody to Thriving Through Uncertainty with A Course in Miracles. This is week 3 of our new pilgrimage, and I'm so excited to have you here. It is July 14th, 2020, and oh my God, anybody feeling like we need to be thriving through uncertainty? Like just in case you weren't sure that you needed to learn how to thrive through uncertainty. I just feel like the universe or life just keeps throwing just a little bit more uncertainty, just a little bit more uncertainty, just a little bit more uncertainty. And by the way, one of the things that you'll see in this class as we get to know each other, but certainly one of the things I see all the time is that we are on this amazing, amazing life pilgrimage, but it's individualized. So that even though we are all ultimately learning the same lessons about living in love or living in fear, or living in love or living in fear, it comes to us individualized. So that's what I want you to keep in mind always, is that there is this perfection that is unfolding, and that the exact circumstances in your life right now, they are custom made. Wouldn't you feel differently about your life if you knew somehow that the life situation you're in, the circumstances you're in, it's custom made. There's just something in this that is for you, not against you. And that is one of the main themes of A Course in Miracles that we study, of course. So, and as always, please keep in mind, these principles are so amazing. And they're so difficult. You know, I don't know about you, but it's like, you know them intellectually, but to really practice them and to practice them in every nuance of your being, that's not easy. So I look around at this great group of human beings from all parts of the United States and different parts of the world. And I always feel excited to be in your company. I always feel excited to be in your midst, because I feel each one of us in our own lives, in our own right, we are daring to be the presence of the alternative. We are daring to listen to a voice that is in us, but not of us. And we are listening to something higher and more amazing than we've ever experienced before. And that's not easy. So if your fears are coming up, if your sadness is coming up, if your disorientation is coming up, if your numbness is coming up, that's normal. You know, I mean, it's just that this is, I don't know about you, but the way that I experience this journey, oh my God, it always feels like up, down, up, down, up, down. Anybody else feel like that? Like, you know, like, oh, I'm connected. I will never be disconnected again. I am so connected. I totally believe this. And then like 3 seconds later, what was I thinking? Oh my God, right? And it's amazing to see that. You get to see the power of your mind up and down and up and down. So I'm excited to go into this week's lesson. It's one of my favorites because it's one of the ones that this is one of those lessons you can use anytime, anywhere, and it will pull you out. It is anytime, anywhere, and if you use it, it will work. So before I go officially into the lesson, we are working with the concept in A Course in Miracles that I give everything all the meaning it has for me. I give everything all the meaning it has for me. And while that might seem like, yeah, okay, so what, you know? So what? I give it the meaning my life is screwed, right? But again, if I know that I'm giving everything the meaning it has for me, it puts me in that point of choice. It puts me in that point of power. And you can start to see, oh my God, we are making ourselves miserable. So here's something the Course in Miracles teaches over and over again. There is a part of you that is looking to find the evidence of how you are not doing okay. There is a part of you that is forever looking for the evidence of how you're not okay, how life is not okay, how you're losing ground, how you're rejected, how you're not respected, how you don't have enough money, whatever it is. There's a part of you that's always on the lookout to prove that. And A Course in Miracles is this training that says, we're not going to listen to that voice anymore. That's a voice that's determined to bring you down. There is another voice. There is another way. And that's A Course in Miracles. There is a way within you. And by the way, this isn't denial. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't affirmations, just slap a thought on it that you don't believe. It's a true voice. When we have a miracle, it's an aha. There is a voice within you, a solid voice within you, a strength within you that knows another way. So that's what we're going to be playing with. That's what we're going to be looking at. Before I go into the meditation to kind of just set the space and get here, I want to mention very, very briefly that I have a $10 workshop coming up called Wild Wisdom Wake Up. I'm very excited about them. They're alternative ways to get alternative answers. So they're really experiential. They're really deep dives. It's with amazing community. I just wanted to start creating a little bit more affordable things so that people could just really take a deep dive, quick shift. And this particular one is on the topic of trust. So we're going to explore trust, self-trust, trust of others, trust of the universe. So that's July 31st. You'll probably get an email, or you might have gotten emails about it. So if you know anybody that might be interested. And then also for all of you who might want to journal with me, write with me, create with me, there's another Magic Journey to the Self, a free writing adventure happening August 7th. That's also $10. So just wanted to let you know those two things are available. More things will be coming down the pike, but just wanted to announce that real briefly. So I'm going to go into just kind of setting the space here. We're going to set the space for meditation. As always, what you're doing here is that you're beginning again. As always, our purpose here, by the way, especially when you're here with us live, but also when you're watching the replay, one of the things A Course in Miracles talks about a lot is that, minds are joined. Minds are joined. And you know how, in the days gone by when we used to join with physical people, that when you walked into a room, you could feel the energy. You could feel like, oh my God, this was like something happy was happening here. Or like, whoa, there was some fight going on here, or what. You could just feel it, right? It's the same thing here. So you may feel a little off in your own life, but I promise you, you have this light in you, and it's about giving us that light. There are so many people who are here with us live, and so many people who are going to listen later, and they need your love, and they need your light, and they need your strength. And as you give it, you receive it. As you give it, you receive it. You may not even feel like you're in the mood. One thing I know from coaching, oh my God, I've been coaching for 25 years now or something like that. My mood is irrelevant. My mood is irrelevant. My willingness is everything. I could be in the funkiest, craziest mood, and often am, because I'm me. I could be in any mood, but when I show up, if I have the willingness to be used, I have the willingness to listen, I have the willingness to give that love and light, bam, something's there. So wherever you are, please keep in mind you're needed here. So we're going to hold that space for each other and with each other. Your job is to breathe, get comfy. There's nothing formal to this. I'm going to another page to see more of you. Yay, I love looking at all of you. Okay, so I won't get distracted by, oh, what a lovely background. Oh, what a lovely cat. No. You're going to start by taking some deep breaths. And even though we are doing this together, this is a wholly transformative experience. This is the ashram, baby. You have just showed up. Take your shoes off. We are on holy ground. And so we're going in together. So your job is to breathe. And if you will, maybe you're going to let go of everything that has happened before this moment. And if you will, just begin to breathe into the essence of who you really are. I am breathing into my essential self. I am letting go of everything else. I am breathing into my essential self. I am letting go of everything else. So just begin to allow your shoulders to relax, your eyes to soften, your nose to relax. And if it helps, you might place your hand on your heart or any other gesture that is comforting. that is guiding. Any other gesture that reminds you, this is my time. This is my time. This is my holy time. There's nothing I need to do. There's no particular way I need to be. Wherever I am, Spirit is. Wherever I am, Spirit is. Wherever I am, my Spirit is. And together we are holding a safe and sacred space. Together we are holding a safe and sacred space. The light in me is joining with the light in you, and the light in you is joining with the light in me. And we are joining around the world with this light, because no matter what circumstances exist, no matter the fluctuations, there is that which is within you that is whole, that is pure, that is impeccable, that is inviolate. I am breathing into my strength. I am breathing out old stories. And with each breath that I take for myself, I am taking it for others. I am sipping into this strength and this remembrance. Spirit, I am willing now. I am willing now to turn my thoughts to you. I am willing to slow down my breathing. And just know in this moment that there is nothing that you need to do. And there is no particular way you need to be. There is nothing I need to do. There's no particular way I need to be. I am willing now to become who I really am, to have any sorrow lifted. Help me surround myself with this light, with this love, with this infinite mercy for whatever I am experiencing. Together we are in a threshold moment. We are in a threshold moment in this world, in this day, in our individual lives. And together we are gathering strength from one another. You don't need to be strong. We are with you. You can let go. You can let be. I am letting go. I am letting go. And together as we hold this space, we are receiving this moment. I receive this moment in my life just as it is. And together as we take this moment, we ask the Spirit within us, the Spirit of wholeness, the Spirit of love, to join us, to guide us. We are asking to co-create a portal, a sacred opening, and to allow this light, this electricity, this all-knowing, all-encompassing love. We are asking the healer to join us. I am asking the healer to join me. I am asking the healer to join me. I am asking the healer, this loving presence, to join me. And for a moment more as you take this space, perhaps asking, what would you have me know? I'm not forcing. I'm not striving. I'm allowing. I'm not forcing. I am receiving. I'm willing to receive this love now. I'm willing to receive this love now. Even if it comes later, it always comes. I'm willing, Spirit, to receive your love, to let go of anything else. What would you have me know in this moment? Perhaps an image comes, or a word, or a feeling. And just for a moment more, if you will, please send a thought, a knowing of love, of safety, of well-being to every precious one here and every precious one listening and every precious one everywhere. Your mind is so powerful. We are receiving your love. Receive ours. We are receiving your love. Receive ours. And in your own time and when it feels right to you, just begin to allow your beautiful mind to return when it feels right. Thank you. All righty. Thank you. Thank you. As always, for me, this is about entering inspired time. And so you might notice that a thought comes to you, or a remembrance, or an image, or a feeling that may or may not have anything to do with what I'm saying. I might be saying one thing and you might think of something else, but keep in mind, together we've entered inspired time. We're creating that together, and we're just paying attention to anything and everything that arises for us. So I'm going to say something quickly, and then I'm going to jump out to you guys. But I just want to talk a little bit about what we're focusing on tonight, that I have given everything all the meaning it has for me. I have given everything all the meaning it has for me. And again, the reason this is significant is because the Course in Miracles says that everything that's happening, it's not so much the event that's happening that's upsetting to me. It's what I make it mean. Right? It's not so much the thing that's happening, the fact, the situation, the circumstance. It's that you're interpreting it. And one of the things the Course in Miracles teaches is that your mind is always projecting meanings. It's always projecting meanings. It's always taking meanings or stories from your past or ideas that you know, and it's always interpreting your life through those filters. And so the Course in Miracles says that a lot of times things come up because it's showing us our filters. And you get to, as a human being, as a conscious being of choice, you get to decide, do I want this filter? Does this filter serve me? Is this filter even true? Right? So again, we get to start seeing how many of the old stories or ideas that we constantly keep refiltering them over and over and over, recycling them. You know how like you sometimes feel like, why does this always happen to me? Like, oh my God, why does this always happen to me? And it's like, because you're telling the story that way. Because it's always going to happen to you that way until you start paying attention to, what the heck am I telling myself? And how might I see this differently, right? So I'm going to give you an example of it, just again, how your interpretations affect everything in your life. I'm just going to give you an example. This happened to me many years ago when I'd gone back to practicing law at one point. I went back to law firm in Boulder because I thought, oh, that'll be touchy-feely. You know, Boulder's a kind of hippie, whatever place, mecca of light, whatever of. And so I thought, well, I'll practice law there. They'll be nice. They'll, you know, whatever. And so I got a job with a law firm there, and I was basically doing legal research, and I wasn't, and I was part-time, and I would do my work, and I was doing my work and then like writing on the side, and I would always go into this firm and nobody would ever say anything to me. You know, and I was part-time, so it was not that big of a deal. I would do my work, but I noticed that the partner I worked for like never said anything to me. Like he'd give me work and I'd do it and whatever, I'd hand it back in and that would be that. So then I started inventing a story, as I often do. They hate me. They hate me. You know, that's really what's going on. In fact, they're probably having meetings about me because I'm so important, you know. When I'm leaving, I'm so important that like the whole firm is going to have a meeting just about me. But I thought, you know, they hate me. They're probably figuring out how they're going to fire me, how they're going to let me go, whatever. And so I'm starting to build the story. And the more I build the story, the more I hate going to that law firm, right? Because I'm positive that every time I walk in, they hate me, right? And so I had ended up deciding I was going to leave the law firm anyway for other reasons. I'd finally sold my first article of writing ever. And I decided, okay, that's it. I'm going into writing. I'm leaving law, whatever. So I'm deciding to leave, and it's the last day, and I'm packing up all my stuff. And part of me thinks I should say goodbye to that partner I was working for. But then, of course, I thought, you know, he hasn't said anything to me and he hates me, right? And so I'm skulking by, I'm like packing up my stuff and I'm skulking by his office. And then finally, I don't know what made me do this, but something made me walk back in and go talk to him and just say, hey, you know, I'm leaving. I hope things went okay. I hope it was all right. You know, I mean, just like I said something. And he said something amazing to me. He said, oh my God, Tama. Oh my God, how could you even hope that things went okay? You were fabulous. You were incredible. You were so good. We never had to say anything to you. You just went on it. You just got it. You just did it. We didn't even have to give you feedback. You went. Can you imagine? Like if I had not gone into that, I was leaving there and that was going to be a memory for the rest of my life about how horrible I was and how pathetic and whatever. And had I not had the presence of mind to talk to him for 2 seconds and then find out this whole other truth, right, of his perception of the situation. But it's just such a great example of everything is what you're making it mean, right? Like I'm making it mean that. And so again, how many times are you telling yourself a story that somebody hasn't gotten back to you, or a friend hasn't gotten back to you, your sister said X or looked at you weird, whatever it is, and you form this story in your head? As miracle workers, we don't do that. As miracle workers, any story that is not serving us, we know is not the right story. Right? We know that that's really not what's right. And so we always shift it from within. So by the way that we always shift it is not so much what I did where we asked somebody, hey, did you like me? That's not the Course in Miracles way. That's the Tama way. But you know, from a Course in Miracles perspective, what I would do is I would say, here's the story I have in my mind. Here's the interpretation I have in my mind. I would like to see this differently. I am willing to see this differently. And I ask my inner voice, because again, I can't see anything new while I have something in the way. If I have something in the way, I can't see anything new. So that's just an example of one of those shifts in perceptions, right? Which a miracle is a shift in perception. So I'm curious for you, what's something that you would like to shift, or you have shifted, something you would like to see differently, or the meaning you're giving to it, or what came up to you in this reading this week, or if you read it, or you've been thinking about it. So I'll just kind of look, anyone want to say anything about what's going on, or, I'm just looking around. I don't see anybody with a hand up yet, or at least I'm not seeing it. Oh, Penny, you've got your hand up, and Kathy, you got your hand up. Okay. Yes, Penny, you have to unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm in a 12-step program of fellowship, and if any of you are familiar with 12-step programs,
Hi, Penny.
You oftentimes you get a sponsor, and I've had the same sponsor who's helped me for several years, and she sort of unceremoniously dumped me and through text. And I thought everything was cool. I thought we were okay. I thought she was just busy. She's a farmer, and so it's farming season and whatever. And so I'm creating this story that she doesn't like me. I mean, we're very different people, but she's helped me a lot. I mean, one night I thought I was having a heart attack, and I said, "Poppy, will you come and drive me to the hospital?" And she came, and
Mm-hmm.
she drove me. She would do anything for me at the drop of a hat, and then all of a sudden, I was the hat that was dropped. It felt like,
Mm-hmm.
and so what you said, Tama, really, struck me like, oh, I'm creating the story that Poppy now hates me. So I need to shift that because
Yes.
now I want to call Poppy's sponsor and say like, why does Poppy hate me? And she'll say, well, why don't you call Poppy yourself? And
Yeah,
so,
or why don't, or Penny, maybe what you're going to do again as Course Miracles students, right? One of the things we do, we're the ones who show up in love. Whether or not somebody else shows up in love, we're the ones who show up in love because again, it's my mind, it's my state of mind. So again, if I've had a close relationship with you, Penny, and like we've had this close relationship, and then you just disappear on me or just drop me, maybe I'm going to write to you and I'm not going to make you wrong, but I'm going to say, oh my God, Penny, I've had so much love for you and I've been so grateful for you and you've been the world to me and whatever. And if you need to move on, I'll support you through anything, but I'm just curious, what's going on. Or, I mean, there's a way to say that, right?
right. Yeah. So I wrote her a thank you note and I thanked her for everything and I mailed
Oh,
it off.
cool. Perfect.
But I know that, I still have this resentment. And that's one of the things we talk about in 12-step programs is resentments will kill you. And so I don't want to carry around this toxicity. So
Thank you. What's the resentment? Very quickly, what's the resentment?
she hates me.
She hates me.
She dropped me, right? Just like your friend,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I've created this story that, I did something or I said something or there's some gossip going around about me because it's all about me, right? Just like you said. So
they're meeting about you right now. In fact, everybody's meeting all about you.
Exactly.
They have nothing else to do in their lives.
Preposterous. So yeah, I need to shift that and lead with love.
So I will say, so first of all, the reason I asked you, like, what are you making it mean? Is because for all of you, for the rest of your lives, what I want you to do is when some belief comes up, it's like, that's that precious opportunity. Like we're flushing up this belief, right? We're flushing it up. And it's like, I guarantee you've had that belief before, right? I guarantee you it's come up before and before. And so maybe the answer is, what if somebody does hate me? What if somebody is dropping me? Oh, well, right? That is their right. Like what if somebody is moving on? My thought, Penny, I don't know that this is true at all, but since you talked, recently about your life changing and theater and the excitement, whatever, what's really weird for many of us? You're going to start experiencing shifts in relationships. As you start to grow, all of a sudden the relationships around you might start to shift a little bit because you're growing, you're pumping up with some love and peace and blood and fire, like you're healing and you might not be accepting what you used to accept. Like for me, I've been half asleep at points in my life. And when you're half asleep, you accept anything. And then you start waking up and you start going, hey, wait a second. This doesn't feel right, or that doesn't feel right. So again, I don't know that that's the case, Penny, but it could be that you're growing and spirit is clearing out people that don't match who you are now because new people are coming in. So
I think that's true because things are shifting and I'm starting to feel better about who I am and showing up as I am rather than who I think other people want me to be. So thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Keep us posted. Yay. Kathy, you had your hand up.
Kathy, me?
Yes, Kathy, you.
Hi.
Hi. It was convenient. You were right next to each other, so I happened to see.
Oh, cool. Thank you for picking on me. So I was going to say I am a geek and an artist, but those are the gifts that God, I build websites. I'm I can do computer logos and stuff, and I paint mandalas, and I wrote a book about mandalas.
Woo!
What I feel my true, I like the story I'm telling myself is I'm trapped with my website stuff. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to break out and, you know, find the publisher. I had a publisher, Hazelton, 12 Step.
Right.
But then our president was elected. They said, Betty Ford said, we can't do anything different. So my publisher was gone. But anyway, so I keep telling myself these stories, like I'm trapped doing geeky stuff, and I'll never have time to do the painting I love, and I teach workshops and COVID, and I put it on. I feel like I'm a loser, stuck, and I'm trapped.
Oh, honey, and what I actually hear the exact opposite, like, oh my God, here's a person of multiple talents, multiple gifts, explosive. I mean, most people are trying to find one thing they can do or one thing they can love, and it's like, how beautiful that you have many things. So what you're saying though, Kathy? Yeah. Oh, okay. Did you?
I remember in your book, or in your article in CSL magazine, you said you just felt like every law of attraction person was going, ding, 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 you're not thinking right, and you can't feel your pain. And I was like, okay, I'm going to feel this pain. I emailed you. Oh my God, who are you?
Yes. It's so funny because I actually have your question in front of me. I was going to read it tonight. So so perfect. You're just here saying it.
I feel the pain. And I was like, okay, I'm going to feel this. And
but I'm going to say two things, because I'm going to answer the first thing and then I'm going to go into that just really briefly. So the first thing, by the way, so many of you might relate to feeling like, oh my God, I'm trapped. I have this one thing that makes money, or I think makes money, or I think is practical, or I think is safe. And then I have this other secret thing that I like, this other thing I really want to do, right? And so what I'm going to ask you all to think is that I don't know. So one of the lessons in A Course in Miracles, corollary to the one we're working with, is I don't know what anything means. I don't know what anything is for. So we're assuming that building websites is the lucrative thing and doing mandalas isn't. And guess what? That will be true because you believe that, because you believe that and you act as though that's true and you feed the websites, right? And so what I will say is that if the Holy Spirit or the Spirit within you or the light within you is asking you to do something, whatever that is in your life, there is a way. If there is something within you that is wanting to come out, there is a way. It doesn't make sense to our linear minds. It doesn't make sense to my past. I don't know how. I don't know the mechanisms. I don't know the plan. But if I keep feeding it and I keep loving it and I keep doing what I can, I let Spirit do the rest, right? So for me, what'd you say?
Feeding it and loving it.
Feeding it and loving it, but you can't feed it and love it while you secretly believe this is my doom. This is my doom. This is the thing that's going to take me down. This is the irrelevant, stupid, frivolous, dumb thing I happen to love, right? Instead of this is my imperative. This is for which I came. I don't know why Spirit's leading me this way. By the way, I thought that way about spirituality. Like, I was a corporate lawyer, it's like, oh my God, I work for a big firm on the 30th floor as a litigator. It's like, I don't want to teach people to meditate. I don't want to sit around going kumbaya. I mean, like, part of my brain was like, oh my God, that is like so not a reasonable path. It's been the best freaking thing I've ever done with my whole freaking life. And so you don't know where your good is. All of us do not know where our good is, but we are saying this is acceptable and this is not. This is acceptable and this is not. And by the way, and then we will say, oh, and by the way, I don't hear Spirit ever. I don't get an answer. I don't get guidance. Well, you're not getting guidance because you're not listening to the guidance we get. Right? Because you're evaluating, this is good, but this isn't. This is an acceptable answer. But I used to pray to God, like, please, God, show me what I'm supposed to do. I will do anything you wish me to do. As long as it's lucrative, as long as I don't have to change anything, as long as I get to wear makeup, I had a list of inside those parameters, I will do anything you ask. Right? So again, we don't know this path. That's why it's miraculous. Many of us are going through the experience, especially with COVID. I think this is going on. Many of us are going through like some undoing, right? Like things are shaking around. And yet, who the hell would have ever thought a pandemic could do anything good? But some of us have had good experiences like, I kind of like the space, or things are slowed down. I'm kind of happier. Like, who would have ever thought a world pandemic was going to make me happier, right? I mean, so again, we don't know anything. I'm asking all of us to hold that openness, that originality of letting spirit guide us. Quickly, I will say one thing about what you also brought up. So Kathy had written to me saying, I'd written an article in a magazine, and it was based on my book Thriving Through Uncertainty, and there's a chapter in my book Thriving Through Uncertainty that's all about feeling the pain. It's all about feeling your pain, right? And it's, because I was, at the time, I was looking for another answer. I was like, oh, help me shift, tell me one sexy thing, give me an affirmation, give me a lobotomy, give me something, give me anything. How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? And I had talked to somebody at the time, and she said, guess you're gonna have to feel it. I was like, what? Excuse me, excuse me. I don't think that's the right answer. I need another guru now. But finally, it was just that thing where you finally realize, maybe I just need to feel it. And I'm looking to see if Elise is out here, because this is Elise's favorite lesson, if she's out here. Yeah, you are. Thank you. This is dedicated to you, my love. But just, for me, I wanted to think my way out of the pain. I wanted to miracle my way out of the pain. And sometimes, and for some of you, if you're in confusion, if you're in sadness, if you're in grief, if you're in anger, wherever you are, sometimes it's about feeling it, but without judgment. Without judgment, not judging. So the thing is, not judging yourself like, I'm always going to be here. I'm always going to be stuck. It's never going to shift, blah, blah, blah. To purely feel something is to move through it. And I know Kathy was saying, the thing about law of attraction, like they say, if you're in negative emotion, you're going to attract negative stuff. And I don't believe that. First of all, you can only be in your honesty. And if you get nothing else out of this entire workshop, I want every one of you to know you have this impeccable guidance system, and it's about your honesty. It's about listening to your voice, not some guru, not me, not anybody. If it matches for you, great, but again, you're like not allowing somebody to tell you your path, your answer, your exquisite way, right? And so for me, honesty is 100% pure. That's where spirit lives. I do not think that here's the difference. I do not think that truly feeling a negative emotion is negative. I do not think, yes, what were you going to say, Kathy?
So when I read that, I was meditating and I thought, I'm going to read, this looks interesting. And I'm reading it. I stopped my meditation and I read it, and I got to that point and I just started to cry. And I cried and I cried. And that was a month ago, and I've been crying quite a bit in meditation. If it comes, I'm just letting go of some old layered stuff.
Yep.
I'm letting it.
Yes.
I'm not fighting it anymore. So
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And seriously, but that's what I just guess what I want you to hear is that truly feeling a negative emotion or an emotion of any kind is not negative. To feel it, to judge it, to decide your identity is that, to decide everybody else has to change so that you don't feel that, all of that stuff we might want to get a little, more aware of. But sometimes there's just something in us and it's about feeling it. By the way, I don't know if you've had this experience, any of you, but I have. I tend to want to be in my head. I tend to want to bypass it with my mind. I tend to want to find the great theory and understand the theory, and that's good. And sometimes I can't feel my spirit. Sometimes I can't feel that guidance. And what I've learned is I don't feel the guidance because I'm not feeling the pain. I don't feel my guidance because I'm not feeling the pain. I'm shutting out the pain, or I'm shutting out the sadness, or I'm shutting out the, whatever it is. I'm separating from myself in some way. And if I separate from myself, I separate from my God. If you separate from yourself, wherever you are, difference between, by the way, when I say feeling it, It's not like, oh God, I'm so pathetic and what's wrong with me and my life is never going to be the same. It's more just like, I think like that compassionate witness or love of having that mercy of, oh honey, you're hurting today. Oh honey, you feel off today. Oh honey, you're tired today. Right? That's very different, right? Than, what the hell is wrong with you and when are you going to be different? Um, so thank you so much. Somebody else want to share something that might be going on, or a shift, or something you want to shift? Somebody I haven't heard from, maybe. I'm just looking around. I've called on a lot of you, and I want to try to call on somebody I haven't had a chance to call on, to make sure that we spread the love around here. I love, okay, well, I am going to save an introvert here and just call Julie. You've got your hands wild here. Okay, let's do it. Yes.
My cat just knocked the table I've got this thing on. So, you know me.
Yes.
I feel it, like when I'm going through stuff, I allow myself to feel it. What's going on for me is trust. And it's about trusting Bob Taylor. It's about trusting myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. I'm doing my memoir and I'm doing all kinds of journaling, getting through this, healing from my divorce, and I'm being gentle and patient and kind and learning how to set really healthy boundaries. But I keep hearing, the ego keeps saying to me, every romantic relationship you've been in your lifetime has been with somebody that didn't love you and wasn't able to love you. So what am I running from? And that's the wall that I've hit. And how do I communicate with Holy Spirit through that? Because it's a wall for me. It's a block.
So Julie, but you made the interpretation, you jumped from everybody in my life hasn't really loved me. And then you said, what am I running from? Like I didn't understand.
Okay.
Like you made that mean that I'm running from something. I'm not sure I understood.
No. Okay. So every romantic relationship, like
yeah, I know.
Great. But my romantic relationships have been void.
Right.
So I'm running from something because I continuously have attracted that void in my life. So I'm afraid of intimacy is what I'm thinking.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I've attracted people that.
I don't know. I wish I knew a sexier answer, and maybe other people do. But, one of the things I keep learning in my own life, practicing the Course in Miracles, you can't outsmart yourself, and it's almost as though you have to learn, like sometimes you have to have made those mistakes, Julie, enough so that another part of you says no more. And sometimes, like, haven't you all had the experience where sometimes you do the same thing again? Like, how could I have done this again? How could I have done this again? I was going through that with, I was trying to hire an assistant, and it took forever. And I kept hiring the same kind of person. So it's my version of dating, right? And so, but I think underneath it, it finally flushed up a belief I had that said I couldn't have better. Or that I was too demanding. I needed to change. That's why this wasn't working. And when I finally said, maybe that's not the lesson. Maybe the lesson is I need to listen to myself. I don't need to change. I need to listen. So again, I think you're making it mean like I'm running from a void, but I think there's something there. I think that there's something in there, like maybe there's a belief that says I can't have another kind of love, or you were saying you're afraid of intimacy. Say more about that.
Like my girlfriends are, like my friend Gina, we call, we're soulmates. Like I have a relationship with her minus the physical intimacy that is like my perfect, I have that perfect relationship, but I don't have it, I haven't ever been, and now I'm terrified of men. Right. I got somebody coming to fix my fan, and I'm like, dude, I'll wear my mask so he can't see me.
I think, Julie, first of all, you're vulnerable right now. If you've been hurt, I was thinking of Fran, I was thinking of you with the contractor, and, like
Oh yeah.
when you're hurt, it's like everything seems scary and everything seems whatever. But what I will say to all of you, whatever situation you're in, if you're trying to heal something, try to slow down and be patient with it. Try to slow down and be patient with it. Julie, what I would look at if I were you is maybe slowing down, especially since you're writing, you can do this in writing, slowing down and writing about those past relationships and what was the moment I gave my power away? What was the moment where
Ooh,
I
good.
turned on myself? What was
Yes.
the moment where I stopped being myself or stopped wanting something and I listened to somebody else? We're trying to hunt Julie down. This is not about men or women or whatever. We're just hunting down where did Julie turn on Julie, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, I will give you a quote from my beautiful partner Paul, who I've shared this with a lot of you, but his thing about making mistakes or whatever is when we first got together. When we first got together, he was somebody, he's going to walk in here now. He was somebody who meditated and hiked and did all these things and took care of himself. Then we got in relationship and that all went out the window, And so he completely lost himself that way. And I had said to him at the time, well, maybe you need to be on your own and really get strong in yourself. And then do relationship, right? Made sense. And he said, no, I know how to do things on my own. I know how to be strong on my own. I always lose myself in relationship. I need to be in relationship to lose myself. I need to be in relationship to get this wrong so that I can get this right. Right? So again, a lot of times our instincts are to back away from the place we got it wrong, right? So are you
two things. First
Yes.
of all, two people want to know how to use the Course in Miracles book.
Okay, cool.
I
okay.
need to do something real quick,
All right.
so ignore me.
And okay, he's doing something technical. So several of you were asking how to use the Course in Miracles book. If you're reading the book at all, first of all, the Course in Miracles says it is one path of many by which you will experience your own inner authority. So what that means is you're listening to your inner voice as you do it, right? There's no specific way to do it. I personally love the workbook. I think it's easier to read the workbook. The only thing the Course in Miracles says is that if you're doing the workbook, don't do more than one lesson at a time. Stay with each lesson and do that. So do you mind, Paul? I'm going to jump into breakouts. Can you do that? Or
Yeah, sure.
okay, great. So I want to be mindful of time here. So we'll come back to some of this.
Thank you. That was great.
You're
About
welcome.
writing.
But slow down. And by the way, any of you can do this. Slow down. Write about a situation and slow down and start noticing, what was I thinking? Where did I give my power away? What happened? What triggered me? There's always this awareness. If you're not judging it and you're just listening, or maybe you're not going to write it. Maybe you're going to do it in a meditation, right? Maybe you're just going to allow something to come to you, or maybe you're going to talk to a trusted friend. I want to have everybody have a chance to go a little deeper with somebody. So we're going to do groups of 3. And we'll do some breakthrough groups. As always, I say this all the time, but bears repeating. This is an experiential exercise. So this is not about talking at somebody. This is not just like fixing them or recommending books. These are holy encounters, right? There's incredible people here. And what I want you to do is when you're listening to somebody, I want you practicing holding a presence for them, that they already know something. You're just, so in the exercise we're doing, you're just going to be asking them if they're saying, oh God, my boss is horrible and this isn't working in my life and that's not working, whatever. You're just going to keep asking, what are you making that mean? I'm curious, like, what story is that? What are you making that mean? Because again, that's something each of us can then say, I want to shift this. I want to take this. I want to give this to the Holy Spirit. I want to give this to the Spirit in me and say, I don't know how to see this differently, but that's the miracle. By the way, all of us are finding our way out of paper bags, and again, I told that Paul story mostly because it's don't be afraid to get lost. Don't be afraid to get lost. I was so afraid, like I was talking about my hiring assistant. I was so afraid to do it wrong. I was terrified to do it wrong. I was terrified to get stuck. And so that kept me stuck. Because what I had to learn to do was to say, I'm going to have patience for myself, and I'm going to have love, and I'm going to go in. And if I have to do this 5,000 times, I'm going to do it 5,000 times. I'm going to bring spirit with me. I'm going to slow down, and I'm going to see what I learn. I'm going to learn every single time. When I finally started deciding having that relationship with myself, that's when things started to shift. Before that, I put all my power outside of me. Like they had the power. Could I find the right thing? Could I find the right person? I became that right person that said, I'm going to hold my own hand through everything in this. So again, we're going to play with that. You're going to ask people, what are you making this mean? Please be mindful of the time. We're going to go for, I'm going to give you some time here. We're going to go for 15 minutes just to give you some time to talk. But that doesn't, I always say it doesn't mean 14 minutes for the extrovert and 1 second for each introvert. Since there might be 3 of you, it'll be like 5 minutes each to have some time and love and bonding. By the way, also to keep in mind, sometimes with Zoom, somebody gets disconnected or bops out of something. So sometimes what we will do on our end is we will put another person in a new group. So if somebody just magically appears in your group, please welcome them. Please talk to them and welcome them, because sometimes people feel insecure or whatever. They don't want to interrupt. So again, whoever's showing up in your group, let's play with them. So you good?
We were.
We were.
We are just a minute.
Okay. And by the way, some of you will be a group of 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. Yay. I get to hear how some of it went. So curious. Anybody feel like sharing what that was like, what you noticed, what came up? I'd love to hear from somebody that I don't usually speak to, maybe. Corinne, you never say anything. Hello. You have to unmute yourself.
Hi everyone.
Hello. Hello.
That was great. That was really a nice group, and I got to say in it that there was so much that you shared and that other people have shared so far tonight that I really identify with. So one of the things that I am making something is as follows, and I have a question about it. So, and I know where it comes from and everything. It's like right now I've got extra weight on me, and I, of course, as horrible as we can be to ourselves, or I'll speak for myself, I am making that mean that I'm less valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And
actually, you're more valuable now because you get more pounds.
Not that. I am making it mean that that others see me differently,
right?
And so, and as I said, I understand that. I totally get that. I know where it comes from. Childhood. I was a fat kid, and that ties into the whole. Well, I'll be happy when, or I'll do this when. But knowing that doesn't necessarily change it, right? So
right.
What's the step there? Like what?
The magic words, yeah. Well, first of all, knowledge is definitely power, right? Because you at least know, at least part of you knows it's not true. Like part of you still believes it is true, but part of you knows that, yeah, this isn't true. Because by the way, it's never true. Because even if you lost 50 pounds, 60 pounds, God knows what, right? It's like your ego or that separated part of you will find the next thing. Right. Well, yeah, you're skinny, but now you're old. Yeah, okay, but okay, you're skinny and you're old and you're whatever. It's like, there was somebody who, Leslie, you used to talk about this. Leslie, you talked a lot about how you believe that, if I lost the weight, and then you lost the weight, and it was like, it wasn't that different. It wasn't this big, like, wow, right? So easy to say all this, but Corinne, again, like for me, the healing is for all of us. I guarantee each one of us can pick a circumstance in our life that we think, I just wish this were different. I just wish this were different. If this would just go away, I'd be okay. If I could lose the weight, if I could get the money, if I could get the woman, if I could get the man, if I could move across the country, whatever, if the lawsuit would stop.
All of the above.
All of the above, right? For all of us, we all have that thing. And for me, the healing, Corinne, is 2 things. One is, how do I love myself when I'm not where I want to be yet? I'm not there yet. Like I write books, right? Books take long periods of time for me anyway. Some people, they don't take that long, but for me, they do. So it's like, how do I love myself when I'm not there yet? I have not finished. I'm not even close to finishing, of how do I love myself when it's imperfect? When it's in process, because I'll give you an example of this. It's a really great example. I have a friend who did this, where she realized she wanted to lose weight, and she was so angry at herself for not losing weight that she refused to buy herself new clothes. Because it was like, I'm not buying new clothes because why bother? I don't want to be this weight anyway, or whatever. And so she'd be wearing all these things that didn't make her feel good. And so she finally decided that she was going to buy beautiful clothes in her fat size. Like she decided she was going to buy these beautiful fat pants. And so we always call it that, the beautiful fat pants, because she thought, I'm going to make myself feel beautiful wherever I am. And I'm not going to wait until whatever, because she was realizing she was making herself feel like crap all the time by saying, I'm not getting anything good until I'm thinner, and so it was just this beautiful acceptance of, this may not be where I want to be right now, but how do I love here? I did the same thing of being in an apartment I did not want to be in, but I didn't see any way to move. And it was just this thing of, well, this isn't my ideal apartment, but how do I make this place beautiful meanwhile? Because I'm here. Right. So that would be my first thing, is like, how do I accept, or maybe it's not perfect, but how do I love it anyway? From A Course in Miracles point of view, the main prayer that we do is what I said before. So I would, like Corinne, if I were you and I was saying, well, I have the belief that if I'm fat, I'm not valuable. If I'm, and you're not even fat. If I don't weigh the weight I want. By the way, in African cultures, heavier women are way more desirable, right? It's all cultural, right? Like which makes me think I can always move, need be, except I hate hot climates. But it's all cultural, right? Because in some cultures, it's like the more you weigh, the more abundant you are, and the less from, further away from starvation, the more, riches you are, right? So again, it's so cultural, right? Even in our culture, even in American culture, Marilyn Monroe was a size 12. Nowadays, that would be like, oh, terrible, so high, right? But she was a sex symbol. So it's so relative. But from Course in Miracles point of view, what we do is, I get in touch with the meaning I'm giving it. I'm less valuable because I weigh X, right? And Holy Spirit, I am willing to see this differently. I'm willing to see anything differently, right? I'm willing, I don't know how. And that's the whole thing. The Course in Miracles says, you made up this belief. You of yourself can't unmake it. It's like what you were saying, Corinne. It doesn't help me that I know that, but I still feel stuck, right? A lot of you feel like, well, I don't feel worthy, or I don't feel lovable, or I don't feel excellent at something, right? Just having the knowledge doesn't always do it, but it is the willingness that maybe I'm wrong. And by the way, the other thing I will say, Corinne, and I'll say this to all of us, you are not your body. We are not our bodies, darling. We are not our circumstances. We are not our age. We are the spirit and the love and the juice and the light in us. That's who you are. So the part of you that thinks, well, I can't do it. Well, who cares what you can do? I don't care what you can do. I care what the light in you can do. Right? So again, by the way, that is what's miraculous about this. Your brain in a linear way might be saying, well, let's see, it'll take 5 months to lose the weight because I have to do this and I have to do that. Well, your spirit could do anything at any time, and not a second before and not a second later. And so again, there is a purpose for this weight. So please keep in mind, we're not just doing things. When I was saying to Julia, slow down and find out why you did X, right? It's like getting to know ourselves in a different way without judgment. Like starting to observe, Corinne, like in a loving way of, when do I overeat? Is it comfort? Am I wanting comfort? Am I wanting to get out of a circumstance? Again, maybe there's love and attention she needs, right? And that she's not getting. I've done that to myself too. Like, you better work. And I ignore myself. And then I get out of control and eat everything in sight, And so So again, the more that we slow down and love ourselves, everything starts to shift. So thank you for that.
And there's also that, so you're saying, let the light, let God do for us what we can't do for ourselves.
Exactly.
Because of course, I'm familiar with that concept because I'm in recovery also. In fact, I'm celebrating 8 years. So
Woohoo! 8 years, baby.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. Happy birthday, darling. Wow. That's beautiful. You've already done something incredible. You already then have a track record of what was unbelievably impossible. You are now living. Like if I told that Corinne 8 years later, this is not even going to be an issue. Now you're going to be complaining about something else. No, just that it was impossible, right? That same power can do the same thing, right? But here's the deal. Always, here's the entry point. Always, do not make where you are wrong. Do not make where you are wrong. The second you make where you are wrong, game over. Game over. You're flipped out of heaven, right? The second, spirit can't enter there, right? The second I say, no, this is not acceptable, game over. Even if I say, I don't love these circumstances, I don't love where I am, I kind of want it to be different, but I'm willing to be here because this is where I am. And if this is where I am, this is where holy ground is, right? So thank you, thank you, thank you. Awesome. So I'd love to hear from some others of what came up for you. Erin, I have not had a chance to speak to you. Hi.
Hello.
Hello there.
So what came up for me, this whole slowing down, was really salient.
Ooh, it was salient. It wasn't just salient. People who use the word like salient. Ooh, yes.
Used to running around and traveling for work and having all these obligations after work to network and do all these things. And the pandemic has forced me to slow down. And it's been so valuable because there's nothing else. There's nothing else to distract me. So lots of things have come up recently, which I think has been so valuable because I have been feeling the feelings, and I'm I always say I'm non-emotional. That's not true. Actually, I have emotions, and it's okay to feel them.
Yes.
It has been a couple of months of just feeling it, and I feel so much more grounded and authentic. And I'm going to have to figure out how to continue to pull this through after the world isn't as slowed down, because it has felt good.
Yes.
Isn't
that amazing?
I never thought it could.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. And who would have ever thought that? Like, I mean, I think a lot of people have felt exactly what you're saying, that, the world slowed down, and originally we were terrified and like, oh my God. And now it's like, yeah, kind of like this, and what you said is true about once you taste health, I think it's really hard to go back. Yeah. It's almost like you now have a grounding, you have a touch point. You're a different person. By the way, we all make very different decisions when we're disconnected from ourselves. We all make very different, like life is a blur and we're going so fast, or we're out of touch and everybody else is out of touch and it's acceptable and whatever, and the world's spinning out of control and whatever. And maybe that you need to shift things, but you don't get to. But like when things slow down, it's all of a sudden you start seeing, that's beautiful. Wow. That's really beautiful. And you have such strength when you say it. Oh my God. I so believe it when you say it.
I feel this way about feeling emotions.
You're going to be a crying little baby soon. That's awesome. That's awesome. By the way, I think a lot of people have felt more of emotions, or have felt tired, like in the beginning of just starting to realize, as you slow down, you realize, like, what the hell have I been doing to myself? Because again, when you live in a wild, crazy world, it's sane to be insane, right? That was the pattern. It was sane to be insane. So those of us who are doing it differently might feel like we don't fit in, might feel like we're running at a different speed or a different calibration. Erin, it will be really fascinating. I think you will know more of who you really are and what you really want the more you slow down, right?
Oh, that's so juicy. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. It's because, you know, by the way, because a lot of us who've been in our heads, when I work with people, a lot of us who are in our heads, we don't know what we want because we've never given ourselves permission. And also, you know, for the people who say, well, I have this idea and this idea and this idea, sometimes all the ideas seem the same because, you know, like same calibration, like they're ideas, but we have no way of knowing which one is more true for us because we're thinking of them. We're in our heads, and at that level, they are all the same. But at the heart level, they're not. At the gut level, they're not. Right. And so if you're not in touch with your heart and your gut, then sometimes you can't always know the different things about your feelings. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Somebody else, Sandra, you have not been out here, and you wrote me this fantastic. I'll get to you, Neil, afterwards. I just saw you raise your hand there. No. So you're going to run away to the woods.
Yeah. So and it's part of. I'm trying to figure out: is this real? It could happen really quickly. So I live in the Maryland, in the DC suburbs, everyone, and I've been in the same place for 14 years. And in the last 3 weeks, I've gotten this feeling like I need to move. And there's nothing forcing me to do this. It's just a really strong feeling. And if anything, I'm like, I'm one of those people who has had trouble hearing her inner voice. I have had trouble hearing feelings. I used to always be in my mind. And recently, this year's different, and thanks to the pandemic, I've had some slower times, and I feel like now I want to move to the mountains in West Virginia, and I've already started looking at real estate, and I can afford it, yay!
Wow. Okay, we need the singers, West Virginia, Mountain Mama.
Yeah, I'm going to be a mountain mama.
That's okay. When I was thinking of moving to Denver, everybody in my law school kept singing to me, Rocky Mountain High. So I get it, yes.
But it's going to be so different. I mean, I joke that, you know, they don't even deliver the New York Times there as a print paper there. That's how far out I'd be. But it's still the Eastern Panhandle. It's like an exurb. It's like 2 hours away. It's okay.
But something is calling you.
Something's stirring, and it's crazy, and I'm not used to it. I'm even getting teary thinking about it. It's so different. I don't even. Someone wrote, "Who needs paper?"
Yeah, I know. I just saw that also.
No, I don't know. It's so weird. So my question had been like, is this real? Like, is this the truth? And I know you've always said, like, you just like follow the energy and you get your response. And so far, I don't see anything wrong with it. It doesn't make sense, though. Mm-hmm. It's not rational at all. I'm used to being very planned, like get to point A, you do X, Y, and Z. And this is just like, oh, I just started looking at real estate, and I'm gonna, and I don't know, like magical things are happening.
Yeah, that can't be right then.
Yeah, it can't be. Well, 2 weeks ago,
look at her energy. She's glowing. She's happy. Magical things are happening.
Something's
this
wrong.
Can't be right, is it? I don't think this is right, right?
Yeah, so like 2 weeks ago, a house I really liked went off the market. When it says contingent, it means someone else wants it.
Right.
It came back on, and I noticed, and I wrote the realtor, and she's like, do you want to see it? It's back on the market. And yeah, so that's Thursday, but
wow,
crazy. And it's like half the price of anything in the suburbs. You get forest, you get like the dog yard.
We're all going to move there now, Sandra. You better not talk about it because we're going to all crowd you out there. No. But by the way, look at this energy. Look at this energy. I don't even care what you were saying. I don't care if you were saying I'm moving to Mars.
I mean, it's
like,
yeah.
You know, of just, you know, West Virginia might sound like Mars if you live in, you know, Washington, D.C. or whatever. But again, you know, so the thing I will always tell you is that a lot of times your truest answer, your truest guidance is going to feel wacky to you, just like what you're going through is going to feel real, because it's almost like, I always say that your destiny is a form of mutiny. Your destiny is a form of mutiny. And what I mean by that is, the captain of the ship is like, let's keep this safe. Let's keep this predictable. Let's keep our head down low. Let's do what we're supposed to do. Let's do what everybody else tells us to do. Let's not do anything else. And our secret crazy desires that seem forbidden to us, or the person who started us off saying, the geeky part is okay, but the mandala part isn't, in another culture, they might say the exact opposite. The mandala part is the sacred and the healing and the what juice, but the geeky part, I'm not so sure about, right? It's like, it's all just interpretations, but your spirit is going to send you where you are most alive. And usually where you are most alive is not always where the linear mind looks. The linear mind is made to safe.
The linear mind is saying, how can I be most alive in a place that's like an hour and a half away from dim sum? How is that possible?
Well, yeah, I can't answer you on that one now. You hit me where I live. So I was fine with not having the New York Times delivered, but now that there's no dim sum, I'm out. You got to talk to the Holy Spirit. I'm sorry. So again, most of us, by the way, here's the coolest thing about A Course in Miracles, or about this path. This is the coolest thing. It says that we are here to open up to a different identity, that you are here to let go of who you think you are, right? And that we are opening up to, you are so much more than you think you are. There are different sides of you, different capacities, all of us, right? And so again, the real walk of life is, can I allow myself to explore? And the thing I would say to you, Sandra, if it were my life, the thing I do this all the time with my clients, and I do this all the time with myself. I give myself permission. I give myself permission to try it. I give myself permission to be wrong. I give myself permission to say, oh my God, I love West Virginia. I loved it for a year and I don't love it for any much longer, right? I mean, again, like, I just want to give you permission in your lifetime for anything you're doing, all of you, to experiment. I'm going to try something, because most of us have to know it locked down. This has to be it. This is my identity. This is who I am. You don't know why you're moving there. You might move there to bump into the love of your life, right? You might move there to bump into somebody who, finances your next project. Who knows, right? So all I know is that energy's alive.
It's weird. It does bring up a person. It's not the sleepy, complainy person. I'm usually sleepy and complaining. So
I'm usually sleepy and complaining. I love it. Who is this giggling wonder? And let's see more of her.
Okay.
Oh.
Thanks.
Yes. Oh my God, that's beautiful. Oh my God, that's beautiful. By the way, for all of you, it's just giving yourself permission even to play, even to say yes, even to think about it, to go look at something. You may change your mind later, but it was fun to go look, and that energy breeds energy, breeds energy, breeds energy, right? That's what this is about. And by the way, your greatest answers are usually going to come in the places you're not looking. Your greatest answers are usually going to come in the places where you're not looking, because you were looking for what you know. That's cool, honey. Oh my God, that's exciting. You will have to keep us posted. Thank you. Tennille, you had your hand up, honey.
Yes. Yeah. So it's funny because this is bringing up something for me that I find that I'm deeply, deeply envious of people like Erin and Sandra, because COVID has not had this impact on my life. So on one hand, I will say I run my own business, and COVID had no impact on it at all, which I'm very, very grateful for, because I know there are a lot of people that are not in that situation. So all these people are having rest, and I don't have that, and I'm really, really envious of that.
And look at Erin, she's glowing, my God. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and in fact, my work life hasn't changed at all, and I've continued to be as busy as I was before, which was too busy to begin with. But now, some of the other conveniences of life have disappeared, so now I feel like my life is harder. And so that I'm struggling with that. I have a lot of
Yes.
envy.
Yes.
And I want
hear
to
you.
slow down. I don't know how.
I've had that also, all the people who initially said, "Oh, I've cleaned my closets and I've organized this and I've whatever and I've caught up on all my Netflix." It's like, "What?" So everybody's hitting different things at different times. The good thing to Neil is I think it is raising up this thing in you that says, "I want rest." Right. But, I hate the feeling of envy. It is one of the things I deal with a lot also, at different times and what I've had to look at, for me, envy is like a border crossing. It's like I've hit this border of something that is telling me something, right? And it's like envy is there just saying, I want this. I want this. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It's almost like, Tennille, like you're saying, I want to be rested like that, or I want to whatever. And so, by the way, sometimes it's painful to have a desire that you don't yet know how to get, but at least you know what it is, right? That's one step closer, because a lot of people I don't even know what I want. I don't even know what would help me. And it's like, we now know, because you even said I was too busy to begin with, right? And so, by the way, I really think COVID is a billion years ago, I took mushrooms, and the thing about mushrooms was you need to be in a good mindset or it is going to mess with you, right? So it's going to intensify whatever energy you're in, right? And so I think COVID is like mushrooms. I think COVID is like some psychedelic drug that whatever mood you were in, whatever was going on for you, it's like, oh my God, it's going to so intensify it now. So it's kind of like what was going on, something is happening to you. Something is going on. You're in a process where part of you is saying, I don't want this. So we will do things consciously or we will do them unconsciously, right? So again, it's going to be whatever got you too busy, you're going to have to unpack that, right? Whether it's saying yes to people when I don't mean it, whether it's not valuing self-care, because a lot of us don't value self-care and think, oh, I don't have time. And until we realize, oh my God, I don't have time not to, because I'll die, so. But I hear you and by the way, then somebody's going to hear you, Tennille, and say, huh, I would love to be in the position of having too much work. Are you kidding? Now I envy you, right? And by the way, we are all envying each other. We are all envying each other. That's just what we do until we come back to our light. So Tennille, it's the same thing I would say to you is the same thing that I was saying to Corinne. Let's say I'm in a life that isn't ideal yet. Right? I'm in a life that I'm too busy. I'm tired. I'm stuck here. I have commitments. I'm in a job I don't love, let's say. I know that's not you, but somebody else might be. I'm in a job I don't love, or I'm in a marriage I don't love yet. There are people I know that are still married to somebody they don't want to be married to in COVID, and stuck with them now, right? So it's how can I be in the middle of a circumstance that is not ideal and still be kind? And still know this is working out. There is no accident here. This is not wrong. This is not you doing bad. It's not happening to you. It's not punishing you. This is not bad. Something is awakening. By the way, I had to be so miserable in my law firm, so miserable, till I finally awoke and said, I don't care what happens. I don't care if I'm broke. I don't care if I die. Anything's got to be better than this. Right? And it's like, I couldn't have done it 1 second before and I couldn't have done it 1 second later. So wherever you are, there's a process going on, and it's just more just loving it where it is, and obviously taking the rest you can, this is good, feeding you, any self-care, that headboard or whatever the heck you're leaning on looks gorgeous. So
Yes, it is. It's a headboard.
It is a headboard. Whew, that looks like a good place to rest to me. Wow, beautiful. But even so, if you were saying that, what if this next week you made rest my number one priority? I don't even know what that means, how I fit that in, but I'm going to make that my number one priority. I'm just going to check it out. So thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
I can do that.
Maybe somebody else, maybe somebody who has not had a chance to speak or hasn't spoken in our group yet. Like Jamie, you haven't. I'm just calling you Jamie Mariah, and the gorgeous, I love your setting back there. So what came up? Hello there. What came up for you?
I'm I'm very intuitive and connected to, inner guidance. So I kind of knew this transition was coming 2 years ago.
Wow.
And I don't think I'm as terrified as a lot of people are, but I'm still coming up against that, like, yeah, but will this work? Yeah, but is it real? Yeah, but can I really do it? And for me, I'm being called back to writing again, and yeah, I've had book ideas that have been brewing for years, and I just haven't, with a 6-year-old at home and a 13 and a 15-year-old, and wanting to have fun with them too. It often gets kind of shuffled aside, and I'm, rebuilding balance with my kids and myself. And gosh, I used to be an amazing deep meditator, and my children, especially my latest, has really helped undo my mind quite a bit, which has been a wonderful, blessed thing. However, letting spirit kind of rebuild it so that I can do what I was born to do.
Yes.
Beyond having kids, and raising these amazing. And that's another thing is, I've been doing A Course in Miracles for 10 years, and I've been grappling with how to raise kids into being in the world, yet not being in the world.
Yes.
And I've been grappling with some really big issues, even unschooling, and I really believe in education, but I also had a miserable experience in education. And I even went to some private schools. And, so there's a lot of transition.
Jamie, one of the things I'm hearing in what you're saying, and I think this is true for a lot of us, we keep trying to hold on to an identity that we knew. Like we had an identity. I'm this kind of person. It's like Sandra was saying, I'm a sleepy, miserable kind of person, not this happy person, right? Or I'm a linear person, or somebody else is saying this. So you, Jamie, was like, I'm a deep meditator and I'm really intuitive and whatever. And now I've had kids and my life is, has all kinds of different priorities. For all of us, this is really about letting the form evolve. Right?
Yeah.
Letting the identity expand, that maybe your life doesn't look the same. Maybe we're aging. Maybe we're sick. Maybe we aren't, maybe we used to love writing and now we don't. Maybe we used to love a certain person and now we don't. So again, it's not sticking to what we knew as much as it's allowing, how does it unfold now? How does it unfold now? Because I think you're moving into an expansion of, I'm a deep, connected, intuitive person, and I'm a mother, and I'm, teaching children how to live a spiritual life in the world, but not of it, so you're expanding.
Yeah. And you're right about the writing thing. I mean, I was an avid journaler for, since, I don't know, 8th grade or something. And that was like, if you were deserted on an island, what would you bring with you? And it was always my journal, but that has really fallen away. And for me, I really feel like it's reconnecting with myself. But yeah, the book I wrote and published myself years ago, I don't know if I could write. I mean, I originally thought there would be 2 more books in the series, but I don't know if I could write that way anymore because I've changed so much in this time. And now I'm just doing calligraphy and want to watercolor, but it's this, I do have some big book ideas, and even just spending time journaling concepts that my inner being is wanting me to unpackage. And man, I'm hitting up more resistance than I've ever hit before. I mean,
so I've done to say a quick thing about that. Just because for a lot of us, it's really weird. Like some of you, let's say, have been a great meditator, or you've been great with exercise, or you've been great with writing, or you've been great with singing, or you've been great in spirituality, or some of us have had like, it's always flowed for me. I so believe in this. I really hear my inner voice. It always works for me. And then it gets harder. It's like all of a sudden this like major resistance comes up and it's like harder. And it's like, what the hell? How did that happen? Have I lost my, right? And it's like, for me, it's the next level. It's just the next level. It's like, we are, every one of you gorgeous, amazing human beings, you are in training. You're in training. It's not, it does get easier. It does get way easier, but also it also gets harder on a different level, right? It gets easier as in we have capacity, we know the path, but again, we learn different lessons at different levels. It's not, and I think the hard thing is that we always think that it's going to mean that we're going to get to some place of stability where nothing ever moves, where nothing ever changes, you know, in my version of heaven, and everybody praises me and everybody loves me and it always works out. They say exactly what I want. You know, that's never happening. What does happen is I become stable inside myself and I love everybody and I see the light in everybody and I see the juice in everybody. So again, I think you're allowing these changes to happen and they're happening, you know, and you're maybe finding out. And by the way, a lot of you who are creative, you'll have lots of good ideas, phenomenal ideas. You don't have to do them all. You just don't, you know,
Yeah.
they may leapfrog into the next level. So thank you. I'm gonna say one other quick thing. Somebody had written on the chat and I wanted to answer this and then I'm gonna take us into our lesson for this week. Sue, I think you're still out here. Sue, I can't see that well, but anyways, Sue had asked the thing about facing fears, right? Facing fears, and then also the thing about in her, you know, that fears are always individualistic, but in her situation, the fear was if she follows what she loves, she can't feed her children, right? So that was like a really great, you know, like my fear is, yeah, okay, if I follow what I love, I do what I love, how am I going to feed my kids, right? And so I'm going to just say a very few quick things about this. I do not think that your inner spirit is ever either or. I do not think it is ever either or. Like you must only do the things you love and never focus on making money, or you must always do X and not do that. Your spirit knows your exact circumstances. And so it's paying attention, but it's also not assuming that you know what's real. So for instance, again, when I was practicing law, it was, I went into law because like most people, I thought, well, creative people don't make money. You know, if you're, you know, creative people will never make money. And I just never even questioned that. I just assumed that was true. And so I went into law. And then one day I questioned it. Like, what if that wasn't true? What if creative people could make money? What if I could make money? What, you know, and then all of a sudden I started seeing the evidence of, wait a second, movie stars make money. Wait a second, there are novelists who make money. Wait a second, there are athletes who make money. You know, like, by the way, you are seeing the world of your beliefs. That's the whole trick of this. You are seeing the world of your beliefs. You believe something, and then you see the evidence of that. But I'm going to ask you to open up to different evidence, right? So the thing about feeding your kids, the thing I wanted to mention with that is, again, we're being literal about that, right? Like, yeah, but I need a certain amount of money or whatever. Here's the other thing. You need a certain amount of health. You need a certain amount of presence. Sometimes we're thinking so much about the money that we're denying our health, we're denying our presence, we're not slowing down, we're not loving, we're not being available to other things. I'm sure there are a lot of kids that have been raised in this country that maybe live in very fine houses and are very, very lonely and very, very disconnected and very unhappy. Right. And so again, it's never an either or. I've worked with so many people who made less money and were so freaking happy. And their life took off to such levels that they realized the joke of like, oh my God, money is the booby prize. I used to always say, they have to pay you a lot of money to kill yourself. They have to pay you a lot of money to kill yourself because when you're happy, you don't need as much money. So again, I just wanted to say, of course, it's a very, it's a responsible thought, but I'm just going to have you open up to the possibility that your spirit knows your way and it's not either or. If I move to Maine, I can never come back. If I give up real estate, then I can't ever go back to it. If I blah, blah, like, you know, if I try one treatment, I can't do whatever. It's like, I want you to give yourself permission to listen and to follow and to experiment, to slow down and to have mercy with yourself. So I'm going to give you a lesson for the next week, what we're focusing on. I'm going to read you a section from Thriving Through Uncertainty. God, I ran really late tonight. I'm so sorry. I'm just yakking away here. The lesson in the Course in Miracles that we're going to focus on is just one sentence. And it's, if you want to read it, it's on page 75 in the text, or it's chapter 5, section 2, chapter 5, section 2. And the one line from the Course in Miracles is, the Holy Spirit is the spirit of joy. The Holy Spirit is the spirit of joy. So that's what I'm going to ask you to do, is follow that spirit of joy. Anything that's joy, that's your spirit. Anything that's not joy, not so much, right? So the Holy Spirit is the spirit of joy. By the way, you can even feel joy when you're sad. Haven't you been sad and crying, but it also feels beautiful? It feels loving. There's a lot of love in it, right? So when you're not judging it. So the section from my book that we're reading is In Thriving Through Uncertainty. If you feel like reading it, it's on page 222, and I'm going to read this to you. When you're not inspired, you're not in your right mind. The power is off. You're not plugged into your true capacities. But just because the plug isn't in the socket doesn't mean electricity doesn't exist. Of course, you will experience times of disconnection. Still, disconnection doesn't mean the power has disappeared from the building or that there never was a building. It just means that you've allowed a circumstance to become your identity instead of remembering your identity and shifting your circumstance. Remember what you knew when you were on fire, not when you were tired. Stay faithful to what you knew when you were most alive. Those are your diamonds. So that's what we're going to be playing with, is stay in touch with who you are when you're on fire, not when you're tired. That's your diamonds. Again, we're going to always move in and out of inspiration, but it doesn't mean you're not connected. You might not be plugged in, but it doesn't mean the electricity is not flowing, doesn't mean the power's not on, doesn't mean the current's not there. It just means your plug got a little wobbly there, right? Or you plugged into something else. You plugged into some anti-electricity or whatever, right? Again, but most of us have this tendency to think, oh, when I was happy or connected, that was just pipe dreams, and this is reality now. Now reality is hit. Right? And we make that the reality. And I'm going to ask you to realize when you're alive and full and feel the most you, that's the reality. That's who you really are. And by the way, that was a good sentence for you, Corinne, also about like making your identity, your circumstance, your identity. Instead of your identity, you're an incredible being of love, of talent, of power, of so much creativity, of so much beauty. And it's like, that's who you are. The rest of it is, circumstances. And by the way, weight fluctuates, money fluctuates, health fluctuates, circumstances, but who we are does not. Right? So again, we're going to play with that. So we're going to focus on the Holy Spirit as the spirit of joy. By the way, that particular sentence was the thing that took me home a million years ago, because I had been fighting writing and fighting the idea of being a writer. I thought, oh my God, that's terrible. That's awful. And I read that in the course that the Holy Spirit is the spirit of joy. And all of a sudden I thought, what if this isn't frivolous? What if this isn't idiotic? What if this is my God talking to me? Like, what if this isn't, just some pipe dream, some foolishness that I feel? What if this is like the universe saying, here, my love, this is for you. This is what I ask you to do. So I'm going to ask you guys to play with that, right? The Holy Spirit is a spirit of joy. Follow your joy this week. Also pay attention to where it's working. Remember the times when it did work for you, because that's who you really are. Even if this is a hard time, even if these are circumstances where we're in the trenches right now, right? You might be in the trenches. How do you be in those trenches with love and mercy? So thank you guys so much for being with me. I cannot thank you enough. You inspire me so much. Seriously. I mean, just the power and the spirit and the dedication that's here, and the intelligence and the commitment. I believe in our world because I believe in you. There are times where there are things in the world that scare me, of course, but as I start to know some of you, as some of you write to me, as some of you speak, as I just get to watch you, it's what gives me hope, because you're my world, and this is the world, and these people exist, and we are legion, by the way. There are many of us all over the world, right? We're not hearing that on the news, but we are everywhere, right? And so the more we strengthen that, that's what connects. So thank you so much. Always feel free to write to me. I will see you next week. Also, Wild Wisdom Wake Up is July 31st, a little spiritual adventure on trust if you want to join me. So, and the Magic Journey is on the writing adventure is on August 7th or something like that. whatever it says on our website. Mwah. Love you guys. Have a good night or a good morning wherever you are. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, Tama.
Thank you.
Woo, they speak. Yay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.
Tama.
Bye, Wendy.
Bye.
Sure, so glad you joined us. Yay.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Have a great night.
Yay. Yay.
Bye. Bye,
Thank
Gail.
you. Good night. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. This
Thank
is
you,
awesome.
everyone. Mwah, mwah. All right. See you guys later.